throughout the long history of our Earth, the vast oceans have never truly been peaceful, hiding unimaginable terrors beneath their waves. Long before human beings ever existed, and long before modern whales dominated the seas, gigantic predatory machines ruled the deep waters. These colossal creatures instilled absolute fear into every living organism that dared to swim through their vast and terrifying underwater territories. On one side stands the mighty Megalodon, a gigantic shark longer than a city bus, possessing the strongest bite in history. This magnificent beast was an unparalleled apex predator, striking fear into the hearts of marine life across the ancient global oceans. On the other side is the fearsome Mosasaurus, an ancient marine reptile and apex predator from the era before dinosaur extinction. If these two legendary aquatic monsters had existed at the exact same time and clashed directly in a brutal underwater battle, which of these magnificent and terrifying beasts would truly claim the ultimate title as the one and only king of oceans? The mighty Megalodon emerged approximately 23 to 3.6 million years ago, bringing a new era of ocean terror. This creature was absolutely not your average modern shark. It was a highly evolved killing machine designed for pure aquatic destruction. Reaching staggering lengths of 15 to 20 meters or possibly even more, this gigantic predator completely dwarfed everything in its path. Weighing an astonishing 50 to 70 tons, its sheer mass allowed it to easily overpower any unfortunate creature it encountered underwater. Its massive teeth were literally as large as an adult human hand, perfectly engineered to slice through thick flesh and bone. The bite force of this monster was exponentially stronger than that of any modern great white shark swimming in our oceans. The Megalodon was a specialized whale hunter, targeting the largest marine mammals available to sustain its massive and energy-demanding body. It did not merely chase its unfortunate prey. It actively crushed them with an overwhelming display of raw and brutal power. With just one single devastating bite, the thick bones of a massive whale would instantly shatter into pieces like fragile glass. Tens of millions of years before the mighty Megalodon ever existed, the vast ancient oceans entirely belonged to the fearsome Mosasaurus. This incredible beast was neither a shark nor a whale, but a completely different type of terrifying prehistoric marine apex predator. It was a gigantic marine reptile, a distant and terrifying relative of modern monitor lizards, perfectly adapted to the aquatic environment. Reaching impressive lengths of 12 to 18 meters, it was a magnificent and deadly serpent like Leviathan patrolling the ancient seas. Its massive jaws were completely filled with incredibly sharp, backward curving teeth, designed to ensure no captured prey could ever escape. Its incredibly powerful tail combined the brutal thrashing force of a crocodile with the swift, elegant swimming agility of a dolphin. This terrifying monster could effortlessly swallow massive prey completely whole within just a few brief seconds of a highly violent encounter. The Mosasaurus did not simply hunt for basic survival. It absolutely dominated every single living creature that moved within its waters. Now, let us carefully analyze and compare the sheer physical power and unique biological advantages of these two supreme aquatic titans. When we look closely at their overall physical dimensions, the massive Megalodon is undeniably much larger and significantly heavier in mass. While the Mosasaurus possessed incredible length, its body was considerably lighter and much more slender compared to the incredibly bulky shark. Therefore, in terms of sheer size, raw mass, and physical intimidation, the undeniable advantage clearly goes to the mighty prehistoric Megalodon. Moving on to bite force, the Megalodon possessed an absolutely mind-blowing crushing power, estimated at nearly 200,000 newtons. The Mosasaurus had a significantly weaker bite by comparison, yet it remained fully capable of effortlessly crushing thick bones and shells. Despite the reptile having impressive jaw strength, the Megalodon bite was a completely different level of extreme biological destruction and power. When evaluating raw biting power and the ability to instantly crush opponents, the Megalodon holds a massive and truly undeniable superiority. However, when we analyze speed and agility, the dynamic dramatically shifts in favor of the highly maneuverable and incredibly swift reptile. The Megalodon was incredibly powerful, but extremely heavy, making its movements and quick turns significantly slower during intense and complex encounters. Meanwhile, the Mosasaurus was exceptionally flexible, allowing it to dart through the deep water with the terrifying grace of a serpent. In any high-speed underwater pursuit or complex maneuvering battle, the clear and absolute advantage belongs entirely to the agile Mosasaurus. Analyzing their distinct hunting tactics, the Megalodon strongly preferred direct, brutal, vertical ambushes designed to deliver one single, absolute, fatal blow. Conversely, the Mosasaurus was a master of stealthy stalking, repeatedly biting its terrified prey and aggressively dragging them into deeper waters. Both of these terrifying hunting strategies were incredibly effective and highly evolved for their specific respective ancient marine environments and targets. Therefore, when comparing their overall lethal hunting strategies and predatory intelligence, we must declare this specific category an absolute, undeniable tie. Looking closely at their natural biological weapons, the Megalodon utilized its massive crushing teeth and absolutely devastating, bone-shattering raw bite. The Mosasaurus countered this with jaws that could open incredibly wide, combined with a highly flexible body for relentless, twisting attacks. These entirely different yet equally terrifying biological arsenals create a perfectly balanced matchup between pure, blunt force and relentless, agile precision. Now, let us deeply imagine a truly impossible scenario where a bizarre and mysterious anomaly in the fabric of time occurs. Two completely different prehistoric eras violently collide, merging their respective terrifying ocean realms into one single, massive, and highly unpredictable battlefield. In this strange new world, there are absolutely no whales to hunt, and there are no other marine dinosaurs to dominate. There is nothing left but thick, suffocating black water and the terrifying presence of two ultimate apex predators seeking absolute dominance. On one side, the colossal Megalodon silently glides through the freezing, unforgiving waters, constantly searching for any sign of substantial prey. On the other side, the fearsome Mosasaurus rises slowly from the absolute darkness, appearing exactly like a terrifying, ancient aquatic phantom. Suddenly, the subtle vibrations in the deep water alert them to each other. Massive, imposing presence in this vast, empty arena. The ultimate confrontation between the two most terrifying marine killers in planetary history is now absolutely inevitable and completely unavoidable here. The tension reaches its absolute breaking point as these two magnificent prehistoric titans prepare to engage in a brutally violent clash. The highly aggressive Mosasaurus becomes the very first to strike, launching its massive, serpentine body forward with truly unbelievable underwater speed. It ruthlessly targets the softer, more vulnerable underbelly of the giant shark, hoping to inflict a massive, crippling, and fatal wound. However, despite its tremendous bulk, the Megalodon reacts with astonishing, explosive speed, violently thrashing its colossal tail to quickly evade danger. The incredibly forceful glancing collision instantly generates a massive, powerful underwater shockwave, sending violent ripples throughout the dark and silent abyss. Enraged by the sudden attack, the massive Megalodon immediately turns its terrifying head around, showing absolutely zero hesitation or biological fear. It charges straight toward the agile reptile like an unstoppable, heavily armored biological tank, determined to completely obliterate its daring opponent. In a truly horrifying display of raw power, their massive jaws violently clash together in a terrifying, bone-chilling prehistoric collision. The terrifying imaginary sound of shattering rocks echoes through the deep as a large portion of the reptile fin is torn. Despite suffering a highly painful and bloody injury, the incredibly resilient Mosasaurus absolutely refuses to retreat from this violent, deadly confrontation. Realizing a direct assault is suicidal, the highly intelligent reptile rapidly changes its combat strategy, utilizing its superior speed and agility. It begins swimming in rapid circles, constantly launching quick, vicious bite attacks from multiple unexpected angles before swiftly retreating into darkness. The massive shark is relentlessly bombarded by these lightning-fast, highly evasive strikes, struggling desperately to defend its massive, exposed flanks. Gradually, the immense physical exertion begins to take a heavy toll, and the giant megalodon's swimming pace visibly starts to slow. It is not because the mighty shark is growing weak, but simply because it is far too heavy to turn quickly. Sensing a critical moment of vulnerability, the highly confident Mosasaurus coils its muscular body, preparing for one final, absolutely devastating strike. The giant reptile charges forward at absolute maximum velocity, its terrifying jaws wide open, aiming directly for the shark's vital gills. But the ancient megalodon does not panic at all. It remains chillingly still, demonstrating the cold, calculating patience of an apex. It does not foolishly attempt to chase the incredibly fast reptile. Instead, it simply waits for the exact, perfectly precise moment. Just as the aggressively charging Mosasaurus enters the absolute critical striking distance, the giant shark unleashes its true, terrifying, hidden power. With unbelievable explosive speed, the Megalodon delivers a massive, lightning-fast bite, entirely catching the highly agile reptile completely off guard. The enormous, razor-sharp serrated teeth sink deeply and brutally into the vulnerable midsection of the completely trapped and desperate Mosasaurus. The unimaginable, bone-crushing pressure applied by the giant shark's massive jaws is exactly like being trapped inside a heavy machine. The severely injured Mosasaurus thrashes wildly and violently in absolute, terrifying agony, desperately attempting to break free from this inescapable grip. It repeatedly and desperately whips its incredibly powerful tail against the giant shark head, hoping to force a sudden, miraculous release. But the relentless Megalodon completely ignores the desperate strikes, biting down even harder and completely locking its massive, inescapable, deadly jaws. In the unforgiving depths of the ancient ocean, absolute raw physical power almost always triumphs over mere speed and tactical agility. After several intensely violent and incredibly bloody seconds of desperate, terrifying struggle, the inevitable and brutal conclusion finally begins to emerge. The frantic, incredibly violent thrashing movements of the giant reptile slowly begin to fade as its massive strength completely drains away. The fierce, glowing predatory light within the eyes of the mighty Mosasaurus slowly fades into a dull, terrifying, and lifeless darkness. The triumphant, heavily scarred Megalodon slowly opens its massive, blood-stained jaws, finally releasing the completely lifeless body of its rival. The massive, broken body of the once mighty Mosasaurus sinks slowly and silently into the endless, pitch-black depths of ocean. The victorious Megalodon swims one powerful, majestic circle around the bloody battlefield, firmly asserting its absolute dominance over the dark realm. A fresh, jagged scar on its massive dorsal fin remains as a permanent, brutal testament to this truly legendary, epic battle. The giant shark slowly swims away, its massive, terrifying silhouette gradually disappearing entirely into the thick, impenetrable darkness of the sea. The deep ocean environment quickly returns to an eerie, absolute stillness, calmly settling as if this violent clash had never happened. This dramatic simulation raises the ultimate, highly debated question among scientists and enthusiasts alike. Who is the true king of oceans? In reality, providing an absolute, definitive answer to this fascinating prehistoric hypothetical matchup is incredibly difficult and highly complex to determine. As we have seen, the mighty Megalodon undeniably possessed far superior raw physical strength and an absolutely devastating, bone-crushing bite. Conversely, the highly adaptable Mosasaurus completely outclassed the giant shark in terms of sheer swimming speed, tactical flexibility, and evasive agility. If a real battle had somehow occurred in a vast, wide-open ocean
With a
environment,
powerful sweep of its
the ultimate
crescent-shaped
outcome
tail,
would
the
depend on
Mosasaurus
factors.
effortlessly
The
navigates
final
the
result
treacherous reef,
would heavily
a
rely on
testament
the
to its
specific
supreme
water
aquatic
environment,
mobility.
the initial engagement distance, and who landed the first strike. The highly intelligent Mosasaurus could potentially secure a victory if it successfully utilized relentless, exhausting guerrilla tactics over a prolonged period. However, even the slightest tactical mistake or minor miscalculation would instantly cost the agile reptile its life against the massive shark. The brutal reality remains that the incredibly powerful Megalodon literally only needed one single, well-placed bite to completely end everything. Therefore, if we absolutely must select one single, undisputed king based purely on overwhelming raw power and sheer, devastating physical dominance, then the magnificent and terrifying Megalodon clearly holds a much stronger, more definitive, and highly logical advantage in this hypothetical clash. In reality, these two magnificent prehistoric creatures lived tens of millions of years apart and never actually encountered each other underwater. They existed in entirely different geological epochs, ruling their respective ancient marine environments with absolute, unchallenged authority and terrifying predatory perfection.
It's huge.
Yet, within the boundless and highly creative realm of human imagination, they have firmly become the ultimate symbols of primal power. They represent the absolute pinnacle of evolutionary predatory design, constantly reminding us of the terrifying and magnificent history of our planet. This epic, highly debated hypothetical clash is a fascinating battle that never actually occurred, yet it continually captures our collective fascination. It constantly forces us to deeply wonder and ask ourselves, what if the absolutely impossible scenario had somehow actually become reality? Today, our vast modern oceans are ruled by significantly smaller predators, leaving these gigantic, ancient leviathans strictly to the fossil records. But their terrifying, awe-inspiring legacy will forever remain deeply embedded in our minds, haunting the darkest, unexplored depths of imagination. We will never truly know for certain what mysteries still lie completely hidden beneath the crushing pressure of the deepest oceans. Perhaps, somewhere in the darkest, most unexplored trenches of our world, ancient secrets of unimaginable magnitude are still waiting quietly today. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible, thrilling journey, exploring the ultimate prehistoric battle of the ancient oceans. If you truly enjoyed this epic underwater confrontation, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating prehistoric wildlife content. This has been PBR, bringing you the most exciting stories from the history of Earth. Until next time, stay curious, always.